Mike.
Hello, Desmond. Thank you.
What's going on?
Not much, man. I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So the book is Livin On A Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life. I haven't finished it. What an amazing read, and the amazing amount of hits that you were able to conjure. I mean, you are a conjurer of gold and platinum, really. I just got to ask. Paul Stanley did the foreword to this. You guys are very good friends, and you credit Paul Stanley from Kiss with helping you in some of your songwriting abilities, right?
Well, he basically discovered me when I was in the group Desmond Child and Rouge.
Yeah.
And I sang with three gorgeous women, and we were at a little club called Tracks, and we were getting ready to go on stage. And this guy, pokes his head in backstage and said, "Hey, I just want to I'm Paul Stanley of Kiss." We didn't even know what he looked like, right?
Right.
And I just want to let you guys know that George Harrison of the Beatles is in the front row.
Oh my God.
So that completely freaked us out. And then after the show, he came back and he said, "You guys are great. Let's try writing a song together." So we wrote a song for Desmond Child and Rouge called "The Fight." And then I said, "Okay, your turn." So we wrote a song called "I Was Made for Loving You."
Oh yeah.
And I think I got the better part of the bargain, right?
Yes. That's amazing. The number of hits is incredible. I mean, that one, your work with Bon Jovi, Livin On A Prayer, You Give Love a Bad Name, and not just rock. I mean, you work with Cher, you work with Michael Bolton, you work with Bonnie Tyler. It's unbelievable. And some of the songwriting ability is genetic, right? Your mother also wrote songs.
My mother was a songwriter and a poet, and I didn't know that people didn't write songs. So as soon as I could get up on the piano bench, I'd started plunking away at my little concertos and all of this. And so I saw that everybody around her was a poet or was a sculptor or did something creative. And I thought, well, that's what people do to express their inner feelings. And so that's been the thing that I hang on to. Because like when my mom was writing a sad song, she had a lot of, sad love affairs and all this kind of stuff. She would write, something that was like almost like a diary of what was going on. When she was happy, she'd write a happy song. Not many of those. So when I started collaborating, I started getting into like, well, tell me about yourself and tell me about your life. And what they say turns into lyrics. And so when they go to sing it, they come to life. They're representing truth. And those kind of songs like stick with them for the rest of their lives.
You've worked with other artists like Aerosmith and Cyndi Lauper and stuff. Now they're also good songwriters, but sometimes you're called in by the band or the management or the record company to help write songs. Now, has there ever been a moment where you've gotten with an artist and they're not very receptive to having Desmond Child come in, and it was maybe a difficult experience at first, but ended up being something great?
Well, Aerosmith had made a record at Geffen Records with John Bodner, the A&R guy, and he saw this success I was having with Bon Jovi, and they had done an album called Done With Mirrors, and it didn't do so well, and so I was forced on them. They had never written with an outside writer. Sent to Boston, and they bring me in a limo all the way to this big warehouse where they were, writing and developing their next show. And, the big doors open, big shaft of golden light. I walk through it, and Steven Tyler receives me very warmly. But the fact is they didn't want me to be there. And so I went back and I met Joe, and they started playing me this backwards loop, and that went da-da, and da-da, and Steven started singing, "Cruising for the Ladies." I was like, "Cruising for the Ladies? That's bad."
Oh.
I don't think Van Halen would put that on the B-side of their worst record.
Oh, my
and
God.
I said that kind of jokingly. And Joe was like, who already had his arms crossed and his head was like tilted back. Now he was really tilting back and squinty-eyed. He said, "Well, what do you think it should be?" And I said, well, and then Steven said, "Well, originally it was Dude Looks Like a Lady." And I said, "Oh my God, hit title." And so he proceeded to tell me the story of how he had gone to a bar on the shore with his roadies, and at the end of this lonely bar was this, all by herself, was this vision of blonde mulletness and with porcelain skin and black nails and curvy figure. And then she turns around, and it's Vince Neil of Motley Crue.
Yes.
And so then Steven started going, "Ooh, that dude looks like a lady. Looks like a lady." And so that's how that title was born. So they didn't understand how great it was. So I was the one who plucked out the diamond and put it on its crown, and it worked out great.
Now, is that a case where they should have gone with their gut? Should people go with their gut when they're writing songs, or like should they do less thinking about it?
Well, I mean, they couldn't imagine that their audience would like him singing "Dude Looks Like a Lady." But the thing is that he actually does look like a lady.
So, yeah, there's that
now
truth
more
thing,
than ever.
Yeah. Oh.
So that song was a huge success. It was in Mrs. Doubtfire. Mm-hmm. Remember the broom dance?
Oh yeah.
And the beautiful thing of it is we were so ahead of our time. The second verse goes, "Never judge a book by its cover, or who you gonna love by your lover." And so that's a beautiful message. Look at what we're going through now with people finally saying, "Okay, I'm really, I know that my name was Johnny, but really, can you start calling me Janie?" And it's like, sure.
Yeah.
It's like live and let live. Never judge a book cover.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a beautiful message to get out to the world.
And for the 1 or 2 minutes we have left here, I'm just curious. I mean, you've written so many hit songs. You've written so many songs. I always like to ask, what do you think is a perfect song?
A song that already exists?
Yes.
Wow.
Like a song that every time you hear it, you stop and you're like, I can't, I love this song.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah,
that I didn't get to write that song.
Yeah, sure. What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow, there's so many. But I actually love Aerosmith's song that Diane Warren wrote, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. It was so perfect for the movie that she wrote it for. And, of course, they weren't co-writers on it, but they can't do a show without that song now.
Right.
And I think that's one of the most perfectly written songs ever.
Wow, that's awesome. All right. Well, Desmond Child, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I mean, I don't often get to thank people who've brought a lot of joy into my life as far as like artists go, and you are one of them. So thank you for a lot of the songs you've written that I've very much enjoyed.
Having me on and promoting my book.
Yeah.
Livin On A Prayer. Big songs, big life.
It's out next week, folks. It's an awesome read. Desmond, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.